So there are 4 trends that are happening right now all across North America, and we're going to talk about each of those. Right now we're talking about the second one. I was just in Atlanta at Market. We were talking to a lot of people about things that were going on in the cities. And I went home and I started thinking, wouldn't it be great if there was something else that we can tie in for retailers that's happening that could just really help them immediately in August with their sales, but also be something that can continue into fourth quarter or possibly into next year. Well, I started doing a little bit of research, and one of the articles that popped up was from the Fed. You know the Fed, the ones that just raise interest rates and is causing all the credit crunch. Well, do not panic, retailers, because the Fed also came out and said that Taylor Swift's concert tour, the Eras Tour, is by itself helping lift the entire U.S. economy. As a matter of fact, when she was in concert in Chicago, they rented out every hotel room in quite a large area, 44,000 hotel rooms. Every city she's been in has seen restaurant sales, hotel sales, food sales, gasoline sales, everything shoot way up, and that has been positive. And you may be thinking, well, that's great, but we're not into events. How does that help us in home decor? Well, it is the Eras Tour. And what that means is Taylor Swift has gone back, and through the 10 albums that she's produced since 2006, each one has its own personality, and each one is its own era, not just for her, but for all of her millions of fans. And I'm going to show you how each of those albums relates to home decor. Well, there are 10 albums, and the very first one was when Taylor was only 16 years old. It's self-entitled, Taylor Swift, and it's very youthful. It's very fun, very kind of reminds you of those preteen years that you had, because back in 2006 when that first one came out, don't you remember all the 12 and 13-year-old girls that were gaga for Taylor Swift? I remember this country album came out and she was on the CMA Awards, and she was so excited about being popular. She performed live, she stood in the middle of the stage and she just smiled. I mean, she was giddy, she was young, and all the young people just really gravitated towards that. Butterflies, youthfulness, fun light things, they're all part of that album. The second follow-up album was Fearless, and it was kind of young too at the same time, but it kind of evolved a little bit. Her next 2 albums were Speak Now, which Taylor wrote the entire thing herself. It had a lot of fantasy elements, and so when we're thinking about decorating or relating to that album, it's individual. She wrote the songs herself, and that's something that everybody can relate to a little bit. Tell your story. And so when we think about the Speak Now era, we're thinking about telling our own story. The next one after that is one a lot of people know Taylor Swift for, and it's Red, because, well, other people call it the breakup album. I mean, if you go out with Taylor Swift and you have a bad breakup, she's going to write about it, and it's going to go in red. And we all know what it's like when we see red, right? Those are strong, strong emotional colors. And so for decorating for home decor, if you're into the red era, of course the color red, but also things that are evoking strong, strong emotions are going to be part of that collection. After Red, we had to cool down a little bit and chill out, have a little bit more fun, and that's when 1989 came along. In 1989, it had a little bit of the 1950s vibe, a little bit of a throwback type decor, lots of black, lots of white, a little bit of red and navy tossed in there. And then the next one that came along was Reputation, and Reputation was a little bit glitzy, a little bit glamorous, a little bit sophisticated, kind of like what you see here with a lot of the black and white type of decor. Okay, now we're starting to see a change, not just with Taylor, but also with all of her fans and her followers. She's growing at this time. She's adding more and more fans, and guess what? They're not kids anymore. And so Lover comes along, and Lover, she says some of her song lyrics, I used to think that love was red, but now I figured out that it's golden. And so now we're starting to see a maturing of Taylor Swift, and that changes a look of our design as well. Okay, we are a bona fide superstar at this point, and we have millions and millions and millions of fans. And she comes out with 2 albums pretty close together that are almost sister albums, because each of them are kind of enchanted, that she talks about fairy tale-like environments with foliage and babbling brooks and super tall trees, and everything has this fairy-like type of atmosphere in her lyrics. And both of those are extremely popular albums. She is definitely a mature woman at this point, and we are seeing her influences in our home decor. At this time, here's what you can do for your store. You can go back and you can review the suggestions that we have here for Melrose for each of those different eras. And you can take a look in our catalog that we put together for you of all of the different products that you can put together. Also, I'm going to encourage you to go through your store. You probably already have merchandise that fits into each of these 10 different looks. Maybe you could do 2 different things. One, you can build 10 different displays at 10 different times during your store, or you can start thinking ahead and having gift guides for all 10 of these different eras for Taylor Swift and get that ready in time for the holiday.